Good afternoon and welcome to Silky TV channel. I'm Baljan Samigulina. We're coming to you live from Astana with special coverage of the official welcome ceremony for the President of Hungary, Tamás Súlyog. At the presidential residence of the President of Kazakhstan, in just a few moments, the formal reception will begin here at Akorda, and we will be unpacking the political and economic states of this visit throughout the day in our news programs. But before that, a few frames of context. Before we go inside the palace, Tamás Súlyog, Hungary's head of state since March 2024. He's a career jurist who led Hungary's constitutional court and widely viewed as a constitutionalist. So now we can see that the cortege is already approaching the residence of President of Kazakhstan. And let me remind you that earlier today he already made his mark here in Astana by participating in the opening of the Digital Bridge Forum, signaling about Hungary's keen interest in digital transformation and new technologies. He arrived in the Kazakh capital this morning for the start of his full official program. And let me also note on diplomatic relations between Kazakhstan and Hungary, which were established back in 1992. Since then, both countries have worked closely in the United Nations, the Organization of Turkic States, and other international platforms. In fact, Hungary was the first Central European country to formalize a strategic partnership with Kazakhstan in 2014, a framework that has steadily broadened into trade, energy, technology, and cultural cooperation. And now we can see that the cars and the cortege of the Hungarian president is approaching, but while we are witnessing this, let me also note a few points between the two states' cooperation. A Kazakhstan-Hungary Business Council was launched in 2012, and 3 years later, in 2015, the two nations established an agricultural investment fund with $40 million in capital. On transport and people-to-people exchange, two states also possess strong ties. Direct air connections between Kazakhstan and Hungary are being reinforced. For example, Shymkent-Budapest services were launched this spring, improving business and tourist links and shortening the logistical distance between the two countries. That has practical impact for trade, cultural exchanges, and faster implementation of joint projects. Culturally, the relationship is underscored by common historic narratives. Hungary often highlights historic links with Turkic peoples and supports cultural programs that resonate in Kazakhstan. Both countries celebrate these shared roots, from Hungary's active participation in the World Nomad Games to cultural exchanges in literature, art, and music. Here in Astana, one of the city streets has been named Budapest since 2012, and in turn, Budapest is home to a street called Astana and even a bust of Kazakh poet Abay Kunanbaylo. Those kinds of soft power ties make the political choreography we're seeing today easier to translate into long-term cooperation in education, cultural exchange, and tourism. So now we can see the cortege is finally at the territory of the President of Kazakhstan. And let me also remind that this visit is the first one that Hungary's leader is taking this year, since he was elected last year in 2024. Now we can see the facade of the presidential residence of President of Kazakhstan. Let me remind you that this visit is taking place in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, and here he is, Tamás Súlyog, the Hungary's president, getting car from his car. And now we can see that he's also accompanied by First Lady, and he's already coming inside of the residence of President of Kazakhstan. Let me remind you that Hungary is one of the main trade partners of Kazakhstan in European Union, and now inside the residence, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev expectedly will accept him and have bilateral talks. Let me remind you that also Hungary is one of trade partners of Kazakhstan in European Union. Now we can see that Hungarian president is already inside of the residence of President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, and he is welcoming the Kazakh delegation. Now we can see the Kazakh ministers having handshakes with the Hungarian president. He already gave speech today at Digital Bridge Forum, which took place in the morning on Thursday. Now we can see the two leaders come and walk side by side, and President Tokayev in turn will now have handshake with the Hungarian delegation, which arrived today morning. Let me remind you that trade turnover between the two countries last year reached $200 million, and now within 9 months of this year, the two countries already reached 186, with a growth of 22%. And now expectedly the two states will have bilateral talks. So now the welcoming ceremony of the Hungarian President Tamás Suyuk at the residence of President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, is wrapping up. We just heard the national anthems playing inside the residence. And on the economic front, bilateral trade is growing. Last year, mutual trade was approaching the mark of $200 million, and both sides are setting more ambitious goals for the coming years. And today we can see that the two states are committed to strengthen their cooperation. We will see the numbers. And also, Hungarian investment in Kazakhstan has expanded, and the countries are implementing joint projects in agriculture, logistics, and mechanical engineering worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Those tangible commercial links are part of why state visits like 2 days are more than ceremonial. They are moments to move memoranda into contracts. And also, this visit comes just a year after President Tokayev's own state visit to Budapest back in 2022, where two leaders signed important agreements in energy, agriculture, logistics, nuclear, and finance. So today's events at Accord are not only a celebration of friendship, but also a roadmap for future cooperation, economic, cultural, and strategic. And we'll be following the official program throughout the day, bringing you the very latest developments as they happen. Stay tuned for more right here on Silky TV channel. See you later.